Alright guys, so now I really briefly want to talk about layering different video and audio files. Now this is an important thing like we talked about before, so I'm going to take my my selection tool right here and go back, because we're going to pretend that you're done the cutting here. You went through and you did all your cuts and you kind of edited the main part of your video, which like we talked about before is the video file 1 and the audio track 1, and then you're going to build it out from there. So this is what we're talking about with layering. If I'll pop a video up on the screen, not a video, a picture of a completed, I'll throw 2 or 3 different ones up simultaneously as I'm talking right now, so you can see exactly what I mean by this. And you'll see that there's multiple different tracks there. There's multiple different layers. They build it out from the middle. They build it out from video 1 and audio 1, and then also you add audio files down, and you add audio files, or you add video files up to your video section. So I'm going to show you how to do a little bit of that here. Obviously you're just going to drag and drop, but it is something to keep in mind, because when I first started and I was first getting into this and I saw those pictures or those, I was watching a video and somebody was editing a video, it looked like it was a completely different language to me. But I'm going to show you how to do that here in this lecture right here. It's actually a lot simpler than you think. So we have our main video file in right here, with obviously has audio attached, and we have video 1 and audio 1. Now if I wanted to add potential B-roll or add another layer, maybe for whatever reason I'm talking in this video and right about the 15 mark I want to add some B-roll there, or an image, well then I would obviously add that in my workstation over here in my workflow. And let's just add a fire symbol, for example. That's a bad example, but let's just say I wanted to add that in. Well then I would drag that up into the video track that I'd want it there. I wouldn't obviously put it over this, because that's just going to completely negate the video right there. I want to drag it over top, because the main video file is what you want, so the main video and audio file in 1 and 2, but as you build out, that will take precedence. So a video file, so the video track 3 right here will take precedent over video track 2. Video track 2 will take precedent over video track 1, and so on and so forth. Same thing with audio. Audio track 3 will take precedent over audio track 2, and audio track 2 will take precedent over audio track 1. So whatever's on the outskirts will be heard and seen first. That's something to keep in mind as you build out. So remember that concept, build out, when you're doing this. So if you see here, this obviously is overlaid on this video, and that's something to keep in mind. Now, like I said, you can build out there. So one thing that you might want to be able to do too is if you're going to add B-roll, which is something I'll show you in another lecture too. Let's say that for whatever reason I wanted to add a little bit of this Alex Becker video as B-roll. Well, what I would do is maybe I want to add the fire up here, the fire sign up there, and then I want to take a little portion of this. So I'm going to drag it. You'll notice that it has the audio file synced like usual, but what you're going to want to do is drag it to the other video file, and you notice the audio file goes down to audio track 2 as well. And I'm going to paste it in there. And then maybe you kind of want to go through, and if you want to kind of touch on what's actually there, I'm not going to show you how to unlink right now, even though I've done it in the past. I'm going to show you how to do that in a lecture in the future. But it's important to keep in mind that if you want this as B-roll, you'll start to see that, okay, this is what's playing right here. This is the main video. Your first audio file is what you're seeing as this is dragging. But as it gets to right here, you're going to start to see the Becker video, or the B-roll, and the second video track that takes precedent. Boom. So there you go. I'm still playing the audio from this, but you're starting to see that this track takes precedent, and you're starting to see this track video-wise, and this is what the audience is seeing. This is what your viewer is going to see. Now, as we get to the fire sign, that's going to take precedent as well, and that'll be it's a PNG file, so you'll see past it through the other Becker track. But that being said, it is over top, so that's important to keep in mind. Build out when you're doing this. Boom, there's that track. It's starting to go there. So if we go back to this first file that I drug in there, the dividend stocks video, then the fire sign pops up, obviously. Now if I were to delete, if I pause this right here, if I were to delete the rest of this and cut this, you'll start to see that, okay, it comes back to this track right there, right about there. So it should obviously take precedent with Becker there, then it'll come back to the fire sign right there with Becker, and then it'll lose the Becker track right there and come back to this one right there while still having the fire sign. So that's how you build out an audio track. Let me show you. Build out a video track, I meant to say. When you're uploading a file, so if we go back to this first file that I drug in there, the dividend stocks video, this you can see is clearly a sync. Then it syncs back, then it disappears. So that's how you basically do it. The main thing to understand here, and the main thing to keep in mind, is you want to build out like I said, video and audio tracks 1 are your main files. That's what you're building out from. Then you're adding on top of that, if for whatever reason you want to add B-roll, and we're going to talk about B-roll and what that actually is later on toward the end of this actual course. But that's just what you want to keep in mind. You don't have to do that as well. You don't have to add multiple tracks. You can obviously just keep them on the same one if you want. Just keep in mind that you don't want to overlap them. If they're overlapping, then you have to build it out on the other track, and whatever's top will take precedence. So if you don't want the fire to be seen, but you want the Becker thing to be seen there, then obviously that goes out on the outer track. So that's basically adding different tracks and layering different tracks. Now, if we wanted to add the audio, for example, let's say we came up with an audio file. Is this a, I think this is a, I don't think this is an audio file. Let's go with, let me show you really fast. Let me take another track right here. All right, this is clearly a synced video again, but I'm going to delete I'm going to unlink it just to show you. And we're going to go over how to do this later and what exactly it means. So for whatever reason, if I were adding an audio file, like I said, same general principle down here. You can do this with sound effects that will be a little bit shorter. You can do this with music tracks, and that's something we'll touch on a little bit later in this course and coming lectures. But same thing with the audio files. So you're going to build out. This audio file will take precedent over this audio track 1, and then same thing goes here. So for whatever reason there was 2 of them, then this audio file down here would take precedent because it's in the last, it's in the outer section. So outer ones are always overlapping the inner ones, and that's something to keep in mind. But main thing is just build out. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I would love to answer them for you. But that's just layering different tracks and how they take precedent over each other 101.